John Talks, Episode 6. What would I ask aliens for? Well, given that I have personal experience with these buggers, it seems an appropriate question to ask myself. What would I ask aliens for? Given the nature of Earth, given its history, given the current times we're going through, what do I think would be the priorities of asks from these aliens? And in this mode of theorizing, we're assuming that these aliens are benevolent and that they're open to communication, obviously. So, under these circumstances, what would I ask them for? Well, the first thing I'd ask them for is a documentary on Earth and human origins. I think that that's the most fundamental information that's missing from Earth and the Homo sapien collective consciousness is what is our actual origin with supporting evidence. And I would not be surprised to find out that the human origin was either not Earth or that it was Earth in a distant past of like some parallel time dimension. But whatever it may be, and I do personally believe, of course, that all creation, when it goes back to source at some point, is, divinely inspired. But in terms of just regular, where are we from? How do we evolve? Were we transported to this planet and genetically manipulated as petty livestock by higher intelligences, basically using us as miners or farm animals, and we were brought here, like the Stargate theory? Or, do we evolve from amino acids struck by lightning and then accelerated evolution occurs and all the Darwin stuff? Or, was creationism more directly at play? Like, did humans basically get spontaneously put here by some invisible creator hand from a different dimension and then we were plopped in here? Or is it some hybrid of all of these things? Like, who knows? Right now, nobody on Earth knows. Nobody has supporting evidence. Like for the Darwinian theory, like there's no supporting evidence, because if we were amino acid pools that got struck by lightning and whatever, single cell organisms, and then came on the land and then evolved out of primates, with that theory, there would be, assuming some standard rate of evolution from primate to human being to Homo sapien, there should be, at least 50 million, probably more like 100 million years worth of evolutionary leap between those two lines. So there should be a tremendous amount of what we would call missing link skeletal remains, which, as far as I know, not one museum on Earth has one set of missing link bones. We got every dime store museum's got dinosaur bones, right? And when you do a deep dive into it, countries all around Earth have bones of human giants, which no one cares to explain, which was something I was not aware of until like 5 or 10 years ago. But they do. You can look into it. All across the world, every culture's got these bones of these like 8 to 12 foot humans. It's crazy. But no missing link bones. Anyway, there's so many more questions than just those ones when it comes to human origin and how we evolved. So, top of the ask list in terms of that stuff for me would be, all right, aliens, give me a documentary on Earth and human origins and let us know what's going on. so we know what context we're dealing with. And whatever. I mean, the documentary on Earth has got to tell us all the existential factors about Earth, too. Ones that are being talked about in the consciousness. And, we need real answers. One of the one, like, just something basic, like, yeah, what is going on in Antarctica? That is weird. It is weird that all the countries of the Earth signed a treaty that basically that bans any private exploration or travel on it. I mean, they didn't even do that for the moon. So there's real basic questions that need to be answered. So we need a documentary on Earth and human origin. Second thing I'd ask for from aliens, it's kind of a combo thing. Obviously they have advanced technology, so presumably to do the interstellar travel that they're doing and everything, they're at quantum computing and beyond. They figured out free energy, and also with all of that, they obviously figured out algorithms. Algorithms are probably just their basic software code at this point. So the second ask of aliens would be to give us the good algorithms, basically send a consultant and say, okay, which of these systems infrastructure we have can you put algorithms into to give us better programming so the current infrastructure is immediately upgraded across the board. And then, yes, please help us with your advanced tech in all the different industries. A lot of people in this space, they talk about med beds and, which is it looks like a tanning bed, and working with light and sound frequencies basically heals you Star Trek style. And the theories are there are basically no limits on that type of healing that, borders on reconstruction or regenesis. And that's in the medical side of things. But since they're advanced tech all the way around, it means that it's safe to assume that they have terraforming capabilities. And so requesting assistance with their advanced tech to specifically help with terraforming and cleaning up the environment, I think was appropriate and a necessary action. And then, when you go down that trail of asking for the advanced tech help for health of humans, health of the planet, health of our infrastructure, then we can really start creating liaisons with them to figure out just how to improve all the physical infrastructure to the level that we can handle. Obviously, there have to be technologies that we haven't even in our wildest imaginations conceived of that they use. And so those types of things would need to be sequenced in. Like, you can't doing advanced tech drops is obviously a tricky sequencing situation if Star Trek is to be believed. So just request at first like the emergency advanced tech to help with human and planetary health, infrastructure health. The algorithms would help out with a lot of different things. It would help out with definitely, because right now we're in the anti-corruption phase, and so clean algorithms, unbiased clean algorithms that have a track record of working off planet would definitely help clean up the corruption, increase efficiency. So my systems engineer side likes that. And then we could really just enter into an open dialogue with them, because when you look at YouTube and you realize that literally hundreds of thousands of videos from across decades, from across every planet on Earth, have been filmed from regular people showing spaceships visiting the planet in no uncertain terms, then we know that not only are other beings here, but we know that they're varied. They're not just from one place, or they would just all be shown up in the same kind of spaceship. But they're not. There's all kinds of different ships. And yes, certainly some of these ships are from terrestrial human governments that are manned by human beings or remotely flown, but the simple majority of them are not from us. And that's been happening for a long time. I mean, when you go back, when you read human documentation, it goes all the way back to biblical days. The Bible documented aliens and UFOs on a regular basis. And it's not the only holy book that documents that. The Bhagavad Gita does, a whole bunch of other ones do. And it's on all the paleoliths. So, it means that there's a variety of higher intelligences to approach who I would find it very hard to believe that they've traveled this far and they have a variety of ships visiting the planet and in low Earth orbit. It probably looks like a parking lot outside of Earth right now for advanced ships. So it would be ridiculous not to believe that they haven't done planetary scans already. I mean, it's probably what the pyramids were part of. I think personally, the pyramids were also planetary biosensors that were like advanced ring cameras sending information back to whatever race installed them. So they for sure have planetary scans, and I'm sure they've scanned probably like all the life forms, all the planet, all the functions. They probably, most of them know exactly what we need to get off our ass and get upgraded into a higher, better working civilization. So if we can just open a dialogue with them and express our interest in getting help to actually, make Earth healthy in a civilized planet, that'd be nice. So that'd be that ask. And then the last ask, for what would I ask aliens for? I think it's pretty obvious at this point. I'd say ask them how we can join the Galactic Federation. I mean, now that we know that all these different ships have been visiting, that it's not just one group visiting here, that there are many different groups, there has to be a galactic political body like a Galactic Federation. So I'll just call it that. But one necessarily has to exist. I find it extremely hard to believe that all these different ships from all these different places are descending onto this one planet and that they don't have some sort of organized political body. And obviously one that's has a peaceful intent. Otherwise, these ships would already be carving us up. I mean, if the galaxy was an anarchistic, chaotic free-for-all, like a land grab, like an empirical land grab, then these ships that showed up, they've been showing up for thousands of years. They would have been lasering everybody to death and like carving out their territory and establishing like their bases on the planet of the Earth and being open about it. At least one of the races would have done it. So we can infer from that these bodies these people or beings that are showing up, there's something restricting them from just taking us over. And since there's so many of them, and they're obviously aware of each other, it's clear that like these ships are aware of the other ships. There's no way they're not. I mean, they're advanced ships. They obviously have scanning mechanisms and navigation devices, and they're for sure aware that other ships are in the area because there's a lot of them. So there must be some political body that they're either adhering to or aware of or that they're members of. And so in that sense, I'd just say like, fine, let's just call Galactic Federation. And so my other ask of them would just be like, all right, how can we petition to get Earth into the Galactic Federation? And perhaps this has already occurred. Perhaps this is why they're here. Perhaps, generations ago, somebody on behalf of humanity formally petitioned one of these galactic political federations for entry and protection. I mean, we don't know. That also goes back to asking them for a documentary on human origin. Like maybe representatives of the human race have already signed binding treaties or requested access to off-planet political bodies. But in absence of knowing what the actual history is, that would be my next thing. Was like, okay, fine. You guys are here. We're here. We got all these like folklores and, partial truths that have come out about the interaction between us. But since now it's in the open, let us in the Galactic Federation. Let's make this a peaceful, high-level planet, and let's get Earth introduced into the Milky Way and make it a member planet of, instead of like having to go forward with this, like, yeah, let's send rockets to Mars and like whatever, hopscotch around the solar system and basically, do colonizing again, which whatever, if that's the way it goes, fine. But since we literally have all these different aliens visiting the planet in the open, it might be a hell of a lot easier just to say, hey, can we fill out some paperwork and join your organization and then start doing interplanetary travel? I mean, for all we know, they just have like how we have commercial airliners. They just have like commercial starships, or they have teleportation gates or whatever. I mean, the galaxy's been around for a while, and these beings aren't showing up in ships because they're stupid. So, maybe we could just like tone down the human pride a little bit and submit some paperwork and try to join up with these guys and see what they got going on, because 10,000 years of the history books down here, and all we do is just bomb each other for dollars. So, the last ask I would do of aliens is request a way to join the Galactic Federation or comparable political body that assuredly exists within their dimension, and just get us introduced into it, and teach us how to be peaceful, civilized, sentient beings out here in the Milky Way, or whatever they call it. So yeah, that's what I'd ask aliens for. Well, that was episode 6 of Jaw Talks. Thanks for listening. Hope you have a good one.